Bring your window down.
This is a scene from Sicario. Denis Villeneuve, a Canadian director, helmed the thriller starring Benicio del Toro and Emily Blunt.
Don't move! Kumite! No!
In this now famous scene, set around about toward the end of Act 1, there is a shootout at the Mexican border. The scene is framed by a soft but driving underscore by the late Icelandic composer Jóhann Jóhannsson. It's present, but so subtle that you almost don't even notice it's there. This is non-diegetic music. And this is a scene from the 2018 French film Climax. It's directed by Argentinian cult director Gaspar Noé. His films are famous for their use of electronic and techno music. A move designed to heighten the viewer's senses. It's brash, it's intrusive, and it's meant to be heard. This is non-diegetic music. This is a scene from British director Edgar Wright's heist movie, Baby Driver. The music is expertly edited to the visuals on screen, a trick that Wright uses in a lot of his films. And certainly separates him from many modern directors. This is non-diegetic music, posing as diegetic music. Much like this scene does in Quentin Tarantino's 90s cult classic, Reservoir Dogs, where our character, Mr. Blonde, turns on the music via the radio, and soon the music becomes non-diegetic.
That wasn't her toe, dude.
And this is a scene from the 1998 film The Big Lebowski by the American directors, the Coen brothers.
The nail polish.
As the dude and Walter banter back and forth, music plays out in the background. We are given no reference to where it's coming from, but due to the volume and the texture of the music, we are to assume it's coming from a radio in the diner.
Yeah, but Walter.
Hell, I can get you a tow by 3 o'clock this afternoon with
And this is diegetic music. And lastly, this is a scene from the 2005 French film Hidden. Austrian director Michael Haneke frames the scene with no music, a deafening silence almost. This scene has no music. All leading us to the main question of this video: do films need music? Hello, I'm Marcus Flemmings. I'm a feature film director, writer, and editor. And I've often pondered with the question of whether films need music. After being highly influenced by needle drops by American directors like Martin Scorsese and Quentin Tarantino, my sensibility shifted to a more European style of filmmaking where needle drops would be frowned upon. Now, as per the opening of this video, there are various ways of using music in film, meaning this is a more nuanced conversation. In the purest sense, there are 3 styles when it comes to music in film. There is diegetic music. This is when music is obviously being played within the film and within the scene, either from a radio, a phone, or any other method. Maybe a character is even singing, and this again would be diegetic. The best way to approach this is, can the characters on screen hear the music being played? If they can, typically it's diegetic. Non-diegetic music is when the music is being played over the visuals. Typically the characters in the scene can't hear the music, and typically it's used to give emotion to the viewer. The most incredible composers ever have all been excellent at creating music that evokes emotion. And lastly, we have no music at all. And in a way, this can be just as effective as creating emotion. Now, of course, as per any artist's rules, there are exceptions. As we've seen, Edgar Wright breaks these rules occasionally, as has Tarantino. Because this song playing certainly can be heard by the characters, but the way we hear this as audience members is definitely more non-diegetic than diegetic. Here, he completely cheats, having his character Mr. Blonde dancing to the quite obviously non-diegetic music that we can hear. So we've established that music is often used in three ways, and we've also established that it evokes emotion. It's almost a hidden trick that a director can use to get you feeling a certain way. As we saw in Climax, directed by Gaspar Noé, he purposely uses music to disorientate you. In fact, it's the direct opposite of how music is used in the film Hidden, directed by Michel Haneke. Climax uses much of its 93-minute runtime blasting loud music in your face, giving you an experience which is dizzying and claustrophobic. You're unable to escape his film. However, as Haneke will attest to, with his films, he wants you as an audience to come to your own conclusions without any fancy tricks. Like, for example, music. I could tell you about how my own filmmaking has evolved from me exclusively relying on music to now using hardly any music, and in turn, how my films have improved. But that would not be a good metric to answer our question, which is, do films need music? Instead, let's watch this scene from Hidden, and let's add some diegetic music. Now, as you can see, it actually makes the scene slightly more eerie. However, it does feel a little forced. And now we'll use the same song, but non-diegetically. And, weirdly, it gives the scene a real sense of urgency, and that, coupled with the actions of our secondary character on screen, there's a real level of stress added to the scene that wasn't there before. So that concludes it, right? This scene is better with music, and therefore, yes, films need music. Well, no. No. Because if I put the same song on this scene from Sicario, well, first of all, it ruins the scene completely, but also I feel something. I feel a sense of panic. The truth is, I could use any music on this scene and it would make me feel some form of emotion, a certain way, good or bad. But ultimately, this scene with music doesn't work in the context of the whole film. A quiet, contemplative study of history and human emotion, where Haneke doesn't use any non-diegetic music. Would the scene from Sicario work with no music? Well, yes, it would. Would the scene from Baby Driver work with no music? It absolutely would. But then it wouldn't be an Edgar Wright film. It would be a film, but just not an Edgar Wright film. The question really shouldn't be, does film need music? Because the answer is no, it absolutely does not. Is using music a bad thing? Well, no, it definitely isn't. Music is a tool in a filmmaker's toolbox, and like any tool, when used correctly, it can have a huge impact. And conversely, when not used at all, it can also have the same impact. 12 Angry Men, an American film populated with bone-crunching dialogue by American director Sidney Lumet, went for a more subtle approach with the filmmaking, using basically no music.
I'm telling you, I've got all the facts here.
In fact, many films that you love do not use any or very little music. Films like Dogtooth, United 93, Son of Saul, Tangerine, and most famously, another Coen Brothers classic, No Country for Old Men, use no music or very little music.
Can you get those chicken grates out of the bed?
What are you talking about?
So to conclude with my own thoughts on the subject, as a director, writer, and editor myself, I can always tell when a film is using music to do all the heavy lifting emotionally. They use a score that touches on the emotions they want the audience to feel, which is definitely a lazy approach to art. Just imagine being in a museum, looking at a glorious art piece, and to your left is a full orchestra blazing out a song to make you feel a certain way. However, there's nothing wrong with a needle drop or another piece of score that complements the brilliance of the visuals on the screen. The truth is, Baby Driver would not be the same film without it, neither would Guardians of the Galaxy, and, well, who doesn't love this? I'll leave you with the words of Skip Lefsey, the sound editor of No Country for Old Men, who described the approach of having only 16 minutes of music in the whole of No Country for Old Men as being quite a remarkable experiment. He also added that suspense thrillers in Hollywood are traditionally done almost entirely with music. The idea here was to remove the safety net that lets the audience feel like they know what's going to happen. And honestly, he summed it up better than I ever could.
Well done.